makes their own apples.
Good morning.
Mr. George, please, we can hear you now.
Okay. Good morning, all my students. My name is George Dawe, and I'm taking you on citizenship and public relation. What is citizenship? The first question we have here is that what is citizenship? Citizenship, every member, every person, you belong to a certain country, whether you are born by rights or by blood or by registration or whichever way you belong to a certain country. And for example, I am a Nigerian, so I am a citizen of Nigeria. So whether I like it or not, I claim Nigeria as my own country. But the concept of citizenship back to the 19th century, where, in the 16th century, where we have the slave trade, we have the issue of slave trade, where blacks are being taken from one country to another country. And by 19th century, we began to fight issue of the slave trade, that we are not slaves, we belong to a certain country. So some of us were naturalized there, or some of them that were born began to claim the issue of being a citizen of that same country. Now, in the same 19th century, we discovered that the issue of states and issue of nation and state also came up, that people are now clamoring to be a member of a certain state or a certain country. So you and I, we are born. Now there are some people who have a dual citizenship. You are having a dual citizenship. Dual citizenship means your mother is in Nigeria and your father is in America or others. We have this dual citizenship that that we belong, that we are having. So you need to understand that the dual citizenship makes you a citizen of one or two countries. So now let's look at citizenship involve a reciprocal act of one, a nation to state living within this area of jurisdiction. Two, an expectation that in return for this right and privilege, such individual would perform certain duties and render specific obligation to that state or to the political community concerned. Indirectly, what we are saying is that once you belong to a country, you're a citizen of one country, then you have their expectation from you. You have expectations, and those expectations are the right and privilege. You have rights and you have privilege to other things that the country has to give unto you. Now we're looking at the acquisition of citizenship. Now we have about four ways to acquire citizenship. Number one, by birth. You acquire citizenship by birth. Number two, by blood ties, that's descendants. Number three, by registration. By four, naturalization. So when we by birth, that means you were born in that country. Take for example, you're an American, your father, your mother came to Nigeria, and somewhere in Nigeria, you were born in Nigeria. Now you can claim Nigeria to be your country. You can be a citizen of Nigeria. But you need to understand also that then you can also claim being dual citizens of Nigeria and America. Now we now look at two, acquisition by blood ties. Acquisition, your father, your grandmother, or your great grandfather was a citizen in another country. So they were born. You can claim that you belong to possibly your grandfather and grandmother. One of them belongs to, was born in America, bred in America. So you can claim that too, that you are an American. Now, you will now move on to the rights, duties, obligation of a citizen. Now, The rights of a citizen refer to those prerogatives and privileges which a citizen can legitimately enjoy by virtue of citizenship. Conversely, duties and obligations refer to the task which a citizen must perform in order to enjoy the rights of a citizen. So let's look at the future stroke the nature of rights. Number one, right exists only in society. Right exists only in society. These are the products of social two, rights are claims of the individual for their development, your individual for the rational and moral claim that the people makes on their society. Number five, since rights in here only in society, this cannot be exercised against the society. Your right cannot be made against the society. That means in your jurisprudence, you'll have a right within your society for and not against your society. Right number six, rights are to be exercised by the people for their development, which really means their development in society by the promotion of social to all the people, not all the people, but the citizens of that very country. Eight, the content of rights keeps on changing with the passage of time. It keeps changing with the passage of time. Then we also have rights and not absolute always be a limitation deemed essential for the maintenance public health, security, or other places. Now, 10, rights are inseparable related with duties. Right now, your right will rights. The moral rights are those rights which are based on human consciousness, like what to do and what is not to be done. You know, the right what to do, what not to be done, and the law holds you wrong. If you are not morally okay, the law holds you back for not being morally okay. Now, we also need to understand that apart from the moral, we look at the legal, and the legal rights are of three main, you know, and one of them is we look at the civil rights. And when we look at the civil rights, say civil rights are those rights which provide opportunity to each person to lead a civilized social life. Civil rights are protected by the state. They are protected by the state and by the state. These fulfill basic needs of human life in society. So we look at the basic needs, that you have to fulfill. Number one, right to life. You have freedom and equality. Number one, we look at life. You have life to live, not just to live, but to have life in a certain place in your city, your country. That means anywhere you go in Nigeria, you should have right to live. The two, liberty. You have freedom to move anywhere. You can change from one place to another. Then three, under that, we have equality. Nobody is higher than anyone, whether you are at the head of state, others, we have equal rights. Two, freedom of movement and action. Freedom of movement and action. We all have freedom of movement from one country to another and action. Three, freedom of speech and expression. Freedom of speech and expression. We have freedom. You can say, you can talk. Not that they are giving us a lot of as you speak. The body say we should speak anyhow or talk anyhow. So we should express ourselves, but in the right way. Expressing yourself in the right way. Number the freedom of conscience and thoughts. Your conscience. What is conscience? Conscience, your conscience is the voice of your spirit. And you need to know that. Five, freedom of religion. That means you are free to serve any religion. And in Nigeria, we have three main religions: the Muslim, the Christian, and the idol worshiping. So you have right to belong to anywhere without being crucified. Number six, right to property and justice. We have right to properties. You can buy properties, you can sell properties, who owns the land, you can buy for your children and great grandchildren. Then we also have justice. We talk about justice. That means nobody crucifies you anyhow. Number two, we are looking at the political rights. The political rights. We look at political rights. Political rights are those rights by virtue of which citizen get a share in most countries, most especially in Nigeria. number one, right. We talk about right to work. You have right to work in a certain place. The right to adequate wages. Right to adequate wages. You ask for your run now. That a lot of people, more even banks, they don't employ people based on monthly salary. They are employed based on contract. Now that's negating that everyone has right to take vacation, to go and rest. You have right to take vacation. Now that's negating that everyone can rest. You have right to take vacation, to go and rest in any country that you feel like. Four, right to live, to to have life and to live. Security, social security. In case of illness, physical disability, and old age, you have right to life. Then five, freedom from fear and ignorance. You have freedom from fear and ignorance. Then number six, right to peaceful assembly and association. You have right to peaceful. Don't forget that word called peaceful assembly and association. Peaceful assembly and association. Now let's quickly look at duties and obligation of citizens. But before we go into duties and obligation of citizens, let's write this assignment. Let us write this assignment, and let's write this assignment. The assignment is differentiate, differentiate between duties, rights, and obligation. Differentiate between duties, rights, and obligation. Also list at least five of them each. List at least five of them each. That means for obligation, you list five. Right, you list five. Obligation, I mean, duties, you list five also. So email geogba at 2804 geogba. And don't forget the assignment: differentiate between duties and rights. Duties, rights, obligations. So list five of them each. List five of them each. List five of them each. And I know and name them. Looking at duties, duties and obligation of citizens. Duties refer to civil responsibility or obligation which a citizen is obliged. Duties refer to civic responsibilities or obligation. Obligation which a citizen is obliged by law to undertake for the state for the protection from protection the state provides. Now what we are saying is that, duty refer to the civil responsibility of obligation. That means what you are to do what you are to do for a certain for your country. So we should look at what we can do. Can you do for your country? So let's look at some duties of a citizen. Duties of a citizen. Number one, pays taxes. Taxes. One of your duties to pay your tax. The government need that to execute a lot of expenses of a lot of their infrastructure. So duty to pay tax. Two, protection of public properties. Now, you know, in Nigeria, we are very bad at protecting properties. So we need to protect public properties. Obey the laws of the state. We have duty to obey the law of the state. One of the law now is they clamp down that everybody should sit down at home. So you sit down at home, obey the law of the state. Defense of the state. That means you have to defend your state. You have to fight to defend your state. In case for anything happen, a lot of us have to go and fight for our state. Next one is participate in the political process. When it's time to vote and to be voted for, you have the privilege or the right to do that. You should do that. You know, some people will say, I don't vote. Well, those people, they don't mind. It's not our vote. No, I don't want us to look at that. I want to look at that. Your vote counts. Your vote counts. You have to vote for a country. Now, also to help to prevent crime. You have to help to prevent crime. Now, don't forget the 1 million boys that are on the street right now. You have to prevent crimes. Now, let's look at non-citizen versus citizen. Non-citizen versus citizen. Non-citizens do not have the right to vote or be voted for, while citizens have the right to vote and be voted for. Non-citizen cannot hold public office, while citizens can hold public office. So let's look at how citizens can lose their citizenship. Number one, by registration. They can lose their citizenship by registration if they are not loyal to the country or become guilty of treason. Become guilty of treason. Two, citizen can renounce his citizenship. You can tell them, no, I don't belong to that. Like some Nigerians that go to America and they get there. One of the things is once they obtain their green card, they throw Nigerian passport away. Now, citizen by naturalization, that is, may lose its citizen if he's jailed for not less than 3 years. If you are jailed for not less than 3 years. Now the last one is a person may not be citizen of a country where he's born if that country citizen is only by descent. If you are not descent, then you can't be a citizen. And don't forget that my Gmail still remain geogba at 2804 at gmail.com. And next week, we are looking at rule of law. We are going to look at the rule of law. What's the rule of law? But don't forget my assignment. My assignment is differentiate between duties, rights, and obligation. Also list at least 5 of them each. Thank you very much. I'll meet you next week by the grace of God, and God bless you.